Okay, you can test your audio.
Good evening out there. You guys hearing me okay? Welcome to Smart Trucking, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Just doing a sound check here. You guys all hear me all right? And I'm just watching the feed here about Maverick being sold. Who bought Maverick? That's a big deal. Maverick was one of the few mega carriers I had any respect for. I'm just curious to know who bought them. Larry Gump, yes, good audio. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Todd Jackson, thank you. Okay, we're good. Sound is good.
Give them a few more minutes.
We're just waiting for a few more people to join. Somebody tell me, who bought Maverick? I'm fascinated by that. I hadn't heard that. Somebody said it was some crap company bought them, man. I'm just dying to know who bought Maverick. I had some respect for Maverick. They were a mega carrier, but they were run by a very smart, fair guy. So here's Christopher Fields. I don't think Maverick was sold. I know they sold the reefer division to KLLM. Oh, so that's the deal? Well, that would make sense. They were mostly a flatbed operation anyway. So, yeah, that's probably what the deal is, but KLLM. KLLM's big. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I sure used to see them out in California. They'd be in the same produce houses as me sometimes loading. Big outfit, don't know a whole lot about them other than that.
Okay, could probably get started.
Okay, so let's get started here. And to start off tonight, I want to just clarify the situation. It was Kathy's mom that passed away, not my mom, but it was Kathy's mom. And we were just staggered by the response from you guys. It was so kind. It was so nice and unexpected in your stories and your condolences. So I just can't say enough. Thank you so much. We were touched. We were truly touched. That was awfully nice, you guys. So thank you so much. So, back to trucking. I think we've established that Maverick sold their reefer division. Not a big deal for them. They're a flatbed outfit anyway, so not a big change in trucking. But what's going on in trucking these days? How are you guys all doing? What's going on? This is a Q&A we're having tonight. One of my favorite things to do. So let's get started.
Any questions, Albert?
Nice, Albert. Thank you.
Well, why don't you start it?
Well, I don't know where to start. There's so much going on in trucking these days that it's hard to keep up. I'm still pushing the paid by the hour situation. I think that's the only way to go these days. I think that trucking is becoming more and more time consuming, and I think by the hour is the only way to go. But you know what? I want to tell you this story first, and it's a little bit off topic, but more in relation to what happened to Kathy's mom. I was away trucking when my mom passed away, when my father passed away. I nearly missed the birth of both of my kids, and trucking didn't care. Trucking doesn't pay enough for those life-altering situations when you can't be home with your family for these major events. And that's something I was slow to realize, and I'm all over it now. And I want to tell you guys, it's so important to be home with family. Don't make a few of the mistakes that I made and miss the major family events that I missed. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So don't make the same mistakes I made. Try to get a local job, something close to home. Over the road doesn't pay enough to miss these big family events. And they're important things. They stay with you the rest of your life. And I you can't believe how much I regret missing some of those things. Being out on the road when my parents passed away.
Mike L. just found out that he has a baby on the way.
Congratulations, Mike. Oh man, now there's a big event, Mike, and you better be home for that. By God,
you better
be home for that because no job is worth missing that event for. And I was lucky enough to make it home for my kid's birth, and it's something you'll never forget. It's an amazing deal, scary and amazing.
Do you think it's the best time now to finance a truck?
No, I do not. I think the market is soft. I think the carriers are using their company trucks to take over the freight volume. I would not be buying a truck these days. The only time that I would change my mind on a situation like that is if you were in with a niche shipper, you had a private deal, you had a private contract that would extend the life of the payments of the truck and trailer, the equipment, so your costs were all covered. And on top of that, you made sure you were making a decent wage, 80, 90, 100 grand a year clear. But other than that, no, I would not finance a truck anymore. It just doesn't pay. The initial investment isn't worth your while because you'll never recoup the money that you've invested in the equipment. You're better off to take the money and put it in the stock market rather than invest in the truck. Your return will be better on your money than buying a truck anymore. That didn't used to be true. It's certainly true now. No. Invest it in the stock market or something. Don't buy a truck.
Larry Gump says his niche is sweet potatoes out of the port.
No kidding. Now that's interesting. If you can hang on to that and if it pays well, stick with it because niche markets are the way to make any money in trucking anymore. That was what kept me afloat, was a niche market, and seek those out. If you've got something like that, lock it in, service the hell out of them, make sure they keep your pay up, make sure you increase your pay with the cost of living and stuff like that and the cost of fuel. But yeah, if you're locked into a niche market, it's the only way to survive in trucking anymore. Red Monkey Trucking. I'm glad someone is saying don't do it. Yeah,
yes.
You know what? I've seen thousands of guys lose their shirts because they believe these carriers and invest huge amounts of money and time. And what the carriers make money off it every time. But I'm worried about the little guy. I'm worried about the family guy that needs to bring home its paycheck. You cannot trust the carriers to take care of you. So no, don't buy a truck anymore. I'm dead against that. A good company guy can drag home 50, 60, 70 grand with no investment at all. So why would you throw caution to the wind and invest, damn near 180, 190,000 in a truck anymore these days? No, I wouldn't do it. Those days are gone. Trucking has changed. I'm sorry to say that, but I wouldn't invest that.
And continues to change.
And continues to slide downhill. It continues to change, and it continues to worsen. There's no upswing of the freight rate in the foreseeable future.
Smart Trucking Channel is now the buzz for the entire port drivers of Virginia. I wear the gear proudly.
Oh, no kidding. Well, thank you. That's nice to know. Man, there's something I always wanted to try and I never had the chance was port trucking. I hear good things and bad things about it. I'm sure it's just like anything else in trucking. There's ups and downs to it, but I always thought that would be kind of cool to try that. Never got to experience that.
One person has asked, forget the carriers, what about running under your own authority, working off DAT, Convoy, and Uber load boards? Risky.
It's, I don't even like the load broker load board situation anymore because you can't control.
But it never was any good. It was something good to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, we used it occasionally to fill in holes that we had, but to rely on that for a living, no, I wouldn't do it. You need direct customers to make it in trucking anymore because the markets and the margins are so thin. You can't afford to be giving 10 to 20% away to a load broker. So, if you're stuck, In a pinch, it's okay to do it and then pray you get paid. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But no, I wouldn't. I'd go for direct customers every time. They're more reliable. I'm not a big fan of load brokers and load boards.
Craig, a few people have asked, what do you think of the ATA and OOIDA testifying before Congress?
I think it's a good thing, because at least you're getting both sides of the story. The ATA tells the mega carrier side, and the OOIDA will tell the truth. Pardon my twist on that, but the ATA is like any other big organization. They're in there for themselves. At least the OOIDA is in it for the drivers, and that's the side I'm on. So I think it's a good thing. I hope Congress listens closely to what the OOIDA has to say, because Spencer's just telling the truth. He's just telling the way it is. There's no twist on the story. There's no spin like the ATA has. So I'm all for it. I can't see why Congress can't see the flaws in the ATA's argument. I can't see why Congress, of course, a lot of them are, they all talk money. The whole thing is money. So I'm sure they can look at the ATA and go, yeah, they're lining their pockets, we're lining our pockets, but it's not the best thing for the industry, and it's not the best thing for the drivers.
William says, what do you like better, dry vans, reefer, flatbed, or tanker work, and why?
Boy.
Depends.
Yeah, you know what? I liked reefer work because I was a guy that liked warm climates, and reefer work always put me in an area with a growing season, almost always California, occasionally Florida, but just about every trip I was in nice weather because I was out on the coast. And I guess I'd have to say that I like reefer work the best for that. I didn't use a load broker. I dealt direct with a buyer for produce. I made great money at it. I was able to afford to run great equipment. The buyer liked the equipment. I preferred the reefer probably the best of anything.
Okay, so Albert's point is, so let's play out all this negative in trucking. Where is the opportunity? That stuff still has to move. So is it about getting a driving job with Amazon, UPS, or FedEx? So he has a good point.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good question. You've got options here. I think if I were a company driver right now, I'd be making the most of it, but keeping my eyes open for opportunities. You'll run into, as a company guy, you'll run into shippers and receivers that are unsatisfied, looking for a quality guy to pull their stuff. So there's opportunities there. There's always opportunities, but you've got to keep your eyes and your ears open. I'd stick with the company driving job, especially if it's a unionized job these days, because those jobs are hard to find anymore. They still pay well. But I'd still keep my eyes and ears open. You may trip across a shipper that needs a good guy or two and gets to know you. You get to know him. You can open up an opportunity, carve yourself out a contract, and maybe whistle yourself out a really good job and a really good contract at the end of the day. And you know what? That happens all the time, because these shippers and receivers are sometimes sick of these mega carriers. Mega carriers promise them the world and fail to deliver. And some of these guys are just adamant about having their freight where it's supposed to be and when it's supposed to be there. That's customer service. And they know that mega carriers aren't cutting it anymore. They need individual guys with their own authority to accomplish that. And guys, shippers and receivers still look for guys like that.
James, I'm going to start trucking school this September. Any quick advice you can give?
Boy, James, there's all sorts of advice I can.
What's that?
I could give.
One piece of advice.
Concentrate on mastering the equipment. Try to get as much behind the wheel time as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, that's what's really going to count, is how well you maneuver the equipment in a tight spot. I would concentrate on that, try to get as much behind the wheel and seat time as I possibly can.
Be the best driver you can be.
Yes.
Because it gives you the most opportunities.
Yes, be the best driver you can be. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on the job.
I wish it would. I sized down from, I think he says 5 trucks to 2. I do everything from dispatching to repairs, saving a lot of money, but still struggling. No easy money.
Huh.
Yeah.
Boy, we've been there and done that, and you're
Yeah.
right. There is no easy money. It's man. How many hours a week do you think we used to put in doing that? It just was a
Too many.
never ending job. But yeah, no, it's a struggle. It
You wear a
truly
lot of
is.
hats when you're a small company.
You sure do, and there's not enough hours in the week by the time you haul the freight, fix the equipment.
Albert says, I'm on the verge of going to trucking school. It's a good thing my wife is not listening to you, though. She'd chain me to this desk.
I found out too late in life that out of the two of us, my wife was the smarter one. I should have listened to her sooner and more often.
Too late now.
Well, too late now. It was something I just had to do, but I'd probably do it differently if I could, but too late now. Yeah, Craig Davenport, be the best and ask a lot of questions. Yep. Absolutely right, Craig.
Yeah, definitely. Like Mark from Trucking Answers always say, people need food and use toilet paper. Oh dear.
That's true. That's the guy that I hauled produce for used to say that people always need to eat, and no matter what, there'll always be a demand for food. So that's
it's consumption. It's repeated.
Reefer work is certainly a good part of trucking to get into because people will always need food.
I've been arrested 3 years ago for a DUI. Do still have chances to start a career as a truck driver in a few years? Maybe.
Yeah, depends on the state, depends on a whole lot of things. I would say don't give up. Give it your best try. But so much depends on the carrier that you latch onto in the state you're in. But
I've been driving for a carrier for 3 months now. What rate of pay or mileage should I be satisfied with after a year or two? What state are you in, Jonathan?
and are you doing long haul or short haul? Rates vary depending on where you are and what you're doing. These days it's becoming acceptable that 50 cents a mile is kind of the standard wage, but you still need to get paid by the hour when you're at loading docks or something like that. If you're in New York City, that's not nearly enough.
Yes, it certainly depends where
Yeah.
and how many miles you're getting.
See, that's the problem with mileage pay. Like, why should a guy running in Nebraska make less money than a guy that's running in New York State? It's all stressful driving work, but they gear it that way, and it's not realistic anymore. It's not realistic. So by the hour is really the only fair way to do it anymore, I think, anyway.
This fellow's rule is a minimum 1,000 clear after 6 months. Move on if you're not making at least that. I tend to agree with that.
I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb. And you know, frankly, the standard I see is about 800 a week,
or much less than
or
that.
less, and it's
much
just
less than that.
That's criminal.
We hear of people clearing half that.
Yeah, and for the hours you put in,
and the abuse,
and the abuse, yeah,
I wouldn't do it.
You know, this is a 70-hour plus a week job. The pay has got to reflect that. It's got to reflect that
because it's very dedicated. You run all night, all day.
You're away from your family, yeah.
Costs on the road.
You're spending money on food and showers and God knows what else. Stay away from Travel Loco in Calhoun, Georgia.
I get 45 cents a mile with 1 year experience, and I get 1,000 a week. So I'd say
that's all
pretty
right.
good. He must be getting a lot of miles.
Yeah, I could deal with that. That'd be all right.
I work in the oil field, 2 weeks on, 1 week off, and I make $1,300 a week, even while at home. Boy, that is good.
They say there's good money still in the oil fields.
When I worked for Werner as a solo driver, they were telling me freight wasn't moving, and I made $300, so I jumped to J.B. Hunt.
You know, oh man, stories like that just send me, because you just know it's not the truth. I can't stand it when these guys just bald-faced lie right to your face. It's just crap because they've got a different agenda than you.
Driving in New York City is stressful. I did it for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
You've got nerves of steel.
You should get a medal.
Who is that? Yeah, Kyle. Jeez, Kyle. My hat's off to you. I did that. How many trips did I go in there?
Where?
In New York City for, I don't know, a few dozen times. Not very often. My nerves were just shot. I'd get across the GW Bridge and just breathe a sigh of relief, and I wouldn't stop pedaling until I got into upper New York State. I hated that down there.
I haul flatbed mainly east of I-35. Paid 58 cents a mile, gross $1,500 a week. 18 months experience. I think that's
that's all right. Yeah, you're doing fine. That's all right there.
I work for Dan Ross. Oh, I missed that one. I can't read it. Work for Dan Ross, make $1,500 a week, yard to yard, pin to pin, 12,000 miles a month. I just lost the chat there, but I think that's.
Oh, that's all right.
That's
good. Okay. Yeah.
In 2007, I was bringing home $900 a week running teams with Willis Shaw Express. I believe that.
Yeah. In 07 running team? No, that was okay.
Tom, making good money with my back hauls to Calgary. East. Oh, I better not say that. Well, we'll just skip that one. What do you think about auto hauling?
You know, the big auto plants just always want it cheaper. So while auto parts tends to be an easy deal, I don't think there's any money in it. They're always trying to beat you into the ground for the rate.
I just bailed out of LA traffic to take a break at LA Fitness.
Right on.
That's good.
Right on. Yorba Linda, California.
Yes, that's where it was. The problem is being paid by the hours. I feel a lot of drivers would take advantage. I lost the chat on that. Would take advantage of it.
You know, with the electronic tracking these days, there isn't really any way to take advantage of it. And all these carriers are into this electronic tracking for efficiency and God knows what else. But no, it's not like the old days where you could wrap your Qualcomm in tinfoil and hide underneath an overpass. And why would you do that anyway? What's there to do underneath an overpass? I think those days are gone. They can track you anyway. And if anything, that should be a boost to your pay when they see how hard you run and how hard you work. So I don't think that's valid anymore. I think they need to pay you by the hour or they can find somebody else. God knows you're worth the time and the money.
Albert, here in Minnesota, DLI regional auto parts delivery with decent wages but long days starting at midnight.
Yeah, that's a tough grind. That kind of a shift. I hope the money's worth it because that's a tough haul. Those shifts like that.
I lost the exact phrase. John Merriweather asked what lanes were good for reefer work, which would be California.
Yeah, California was the best for reefer work because it wasn't seasonal. Like Florida's seasonal. But
year round.
You get into California, it's literally year round. There might be a month or two in the winter when I didn't haul out of Salinas.
Move into Arizona.
And I'd haul out of Yuma, but it was steady year round work and the rates were always good. So that was where I ran my reefer always.
What do you think about CRST?
I think they're a crap company. What do you think about them? But no, they've been at the bottom of the list for 30 years now. There were some terrible things that have gone on there. Trainers molesting female trainees. And
did you prefer driving mornings or nights when over the road?
I shouldn't even tell these stories out of school, but I'd like to get up 5, 6 in the morning and run till I dropped. That was the way I like to do it. My body seemed to need sleep from about 1 a.m. till about 4 or 5 a.m. and I would work the rest of that time. Everyone's got a different biorhythm, I guess they call it, but that's when my body needed to
Everybody
rest.
has what is their premium time of day.
Yeah. So that my low point was from 1 a.m. to about 4 or 5. So that's when I like to sleep, and I could run the rest of the time.
Interesting. Albert says that other companies won't even accept CRST trained drivers. That's an interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, they're not a reputable outfit in my opinion. Not very good.
I hear that Creek Carrier and Schaefer
Yeah.
are decent for
Yes.
starting out.
I've always heard that those were good carriers. Yep. That's certainly, a couple of the guys I would have considered working for actually if I'd lived in their neck of the woods. But no, I heard good things about them. Honest people.
So Eric asks, so in your opinion, getting paid hourly is better than mileage? And I think we've talked about this, but explain to them that why it's just more predictable. It's
Yes.
just more predictable. You can predict what your earnings will be.
Yes, and no matter what happens, the carrier can't give you a story like, well, the shipper doesn't pay us for the first 2 hours, so we can't pay you. It's just, there's just no question.
Or we're low on freight.
Yeah, we're low on freight. For every minute you're working, you're getting paid for it. And it's not your fault if California mandates a 30-minute break or something like that. It's not your fault. You're there on the carrier's behalf. You need to be paid for every minute you're at work. And it's just no arguing about it. And I work for a carrier like that now, and there's just no question. You hand in the number of hours you worked, and bang, you get a check for that many hours. 40 hours, overtime after 40, no questions. There's no debate. You've earned it. They know you were at work. So it's the best way to get paid anymore, especially these days. Stuck in traffic or some of the shippers and receivers, there's no excuse for you to sit or do anything for free anymore, especially with this electronic tracking. They know where you are. They know how long you're there. No excuses. Paid by the hour. Paid by the hour.
For those reasons. Okay, I'll read this one. Brady, in your opinion, what is the best way to be polite in turning down a date with a lot lizard? No sense in being rude to them.
Just
leave me out of
just
this
say, I'm not interested.
Ma'am?
I wouldn't go that far, but I'd just say, no thanks, not interested. You don't owe them an explanation.
No, true.
Just, no thank you. Be polite and firm.
And get off my running board.
Yeah, and get off my truck before somebody sees you. You pig. Oh, sorry, can't say that.
No lizards.
I was always pretty selective about where I'd park. I never had a whole lot of trouble like that. So part of it is where you land for the night.
Christopher says you can't say man because you might not be sure that it's a woman.
Oh man, could I
That's
tell you a story about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you did that story, didn't you?
Yes,
you did.
With the Lettuce King that time?
No, not
Oh
that one.
my God, it was the funniest thing I ever saw.
Save that one for the next video.
Oh Jesus!
Next video.
You won't want me to tell that story.
Oh. Ricky says you'd have to disinfect the handrail.
Oh man. Yeah, rubbing alcohol or something, I don't know. Flamethrower.
Hi guys, I've always recommended your channel to new drivers. I lost the chat on that.
Thank you.
Thoughts on hauling milk in a smooth bore tanker?
I understand that's a good gig. I think a lot of those guys get paid by the hour. And I hear nothing but good stuff about that kind of work. Mostly local stuff, the smoothbore tanker, you'll get onto that. That's not a big deal. So, and you get to deal with farmers instead of some idiot shipper somewhere. No, I'd go for it. No, most of those guys that do that are pretty happy.
Eric, my biggest problem with some truck drivers is that they litter on the side of the roads. Keep Nevada clean and keep the states clean, and Canada too.
You know what, Eric? That was always one of the things that drove me nuts. I couldn't stand these guys that left crap on the side of the road or in the park lots, or there's garbage cans everywhere. You don't need to be tossing stuff out.
That's terrible.
That's the sign of a
pig.
A pig or a slob. Professional drivers don't do that. That's just disgusting.
Brady apologizes for sorry he got that one going. Omar says lizards get paid by the minute.
You know what? I don't care how they get paid. I just want them to go somewhere else.
John says he has no lot lizard stickers on his truck.
Does that work? I hope it works. Just.
Neil Evans is an Australian. He said, is it worth coming over to North America to work?
Are you nuts? When you live in Australia?
Yeah.
No, man. We always want to go there. Stay where you are. We're all coming to join you. We heard it's way nicer over there in Australia.
The weather's warmer.
Oh, yeah. No. I'd never leave Australia.
Our company gets base pay, so we can sit for days and still get paid. I took your advice working with a small carrier, and I really love it.
Oh, good. Yeah, the small carriers are more in tune with what their guys want. The mega carriers don't care. Simple as that. No, I like those. I like the small carriers. Absolutely. You're just a number to the mega carriers. They just look at their bottom line. They never look at their drivers.
Wyoming and I believe Utah sometimes has trash cans on the shoulders of the roads.
Yeah. Just I don't understand these people that throw crap out of the truck. It's just, do you want to look at that? No, nobody else does either. Keep the place clean. God, we've all got to live here.
And future generations do too.
Yeah. All they do is hike the price of the fuel so they can hire a crew to clean up the trash. You end up paying for it.
Indirectly.
Just indirectly. Throw in the garbage can in the first place.
Oh, Shannon, good evening. Have you heard any more on the guy that was found deceased and his load stolen?
Refresh my memory, Shannon. Where was that? I don't recall one of those lately.
Walmart has partnered with R&R Management to boot truck parked at their stores. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I think that's a real loss for us and for Walmart. Truck drivers give Walmart a canoe full of business. We're faithful customers. I am really sorry to see that happening. And some of the Walmarts I've been in, they'll send out their security guys, openly greet you, tell you you're welcome. They tell you they'll keep an eye on your truck while you're in shopping. You're welcome to sleep there. But I know some of the Walmarts have had problems, and part of it is the trash the drivers leave behind. So, you can see Walmart's side of it, but I sure would be sorry to see that happen all around.
Maybe you can give them an update on what you're doing with your truck.
I need to do some surgery on my truck. It's running fine, but the
surgery.
The elbows on my straight pipes need replacing, so I've got to replace the elbows. Just a few little things. I've been so busy this summer between my job and the boat and everything like that, and what's going on at home.
Sitting around.
I haven't been sitting around. Don't listen to her. So I've been neglecting the truck. I've promised myself I've got it all insured and everything. It's ready to go, but I got to put some time and money into it here in September once summer's over, and I'm looking forward to going for a cruise in it. But no, it's sitting there waiting for me. I just have the time. I've moved it around our yard about a dozen times and put new batteries in it and stuff, but needs a little TLC, needs those new elbows, needs a good wash.
Here's a fellow said, "Hey guys, I just tuned in. I'm taking my CDLA skills test tomorrow. Wish me luck."
Good luck. Good luck, driver.
Chemical tanker hauling for a well-known mega carrier. I've been doing it for 2 years to get experience with my CDL. And this is one of my favorite YouTube channels.
Thank you. You know what? I liked chemical hauling. I never had any issues that I found that I felt I was in danger. It paid well. No, I thought it was a good deal. The carrier that I tried it for wasn't wasn't particularly honest. That was my only beef with it. If the carrier had been honest, I'd have probably stayed with that for a while.
I
But
don't think there were any other carriers at the time that were any better either.
not up here, not in our neck of the woods.
No.
But down in the States, there's some very reputable chemical haulers, but not up in Ontario. But I like the work. If that's the question, I like the work.
What are your thoughts on the Mac MP8? Super Duty wants to know.
Super Duty. You know what? It's. I'm taking a wait and see attitude on that. I'm waiting to see if they've solved their problems with the DEF fluid and the emissions stuff. A good Mac always built a great truck, but you get this emissions business involved with it, like any truck. It just mucks up a good piece of equipment. So
Another fellow mentions that he is a mechanic and he does not like the MP8.
that's interesting. I'd love to know why that is. I don't have a whole lot of experience with Macs. They're more of a construction truck in our neck of the woods. They're not an over the road truck.
So Shannon replies, it was down in Houston on Saturday. His load of meat was gone and the poor driver was in an advanced state of decomposition.
Oh man,
Wow.
I hadn't heard about that, Shannon.
Wow.
Jeez. I recall being in, what the hell is the name of that? Hunts Point. And that happened to a guy one time when I was in Hunts Point. And it's just, it's unbelievable. It's hard to imagine guys that are so desperate for $1 that they'd take another guy's life and steal his load. Like, it's not even that's not even a humanity. I'm not saying this well. It's not even human to do that type of thing. Like, you wonder what kind of an animal you're dealing with, or what kind of animals you're dealing with. And that's why I preach about being very careful about where you go into with your truck. And, all these big cities anymore are dangerous in the wrong spots. Houston, New York City, Chicago. You get into the wrong neighborhood, and no matter what the freight rate is, it just doesn't pay enough. And you've got to be so careful where you go and what you expose yourself to. It's just, that's part of the problem with trucking. Some of the places they'll send you, it just doesn't pay enough. It's it's incredible.
A lot of risks as a truck driver.
There's huge risks.
People don't really think about that.
And
part of it.
and the shippers and the dispatchers say, "Oh, we never had any trouble in there." God, you go in there into a neighborhood. I used to haul into a neighborhood in Memphis, and you were the only guy that wasn't a coke addict within 5 miles in any direction. And they didn't see any problem with it. But it was my problem. I quit going there. It wasn't safe.
Someone has asked for personal safety or defense suggestions for OTR drivers, and we're actually preparing a video currently for that. So that will be coming up within the next few weeks.
Yeah. Biggest thing, be careful where you go. Pick and choose your destinations.
In these big cities, you have to watch your back always,
Yeah.
says Kyle, and that's so true.
Yeah, and pick and choose your truck stops too.
Yeah.
If you're going into a hellhole, stay at a truck stop 50 miles, 60 miles out of town. Don't stay at one in the inner city just because it's closer to your delivery in the morning.
Yep, that's right.
Our carrier doesn't mind if we carry weapons.
Who?
It's sad that it's coming to that point. You wonder if you're servicing the right customers when you've got to go into neighborhoods like that.
It's a cat, Shannon.
Yeah. We got 3 cats and the one never shuts up. That's him. Yeah, eyes open when outside the truck. Brad
Yes, for
Mitchell,
sure.
absolutely. Good advice. Yeah.
I operate only Volvo trucks, and yes, expensive parts and kind of a delicate truck to use. Lost the rest of it there.
Hard to get parts for a Volvo in a lot of places. You know, I hear good things and bad things about them. Not a huge dealer network as far as I'm aware. Some guys really like them. Not my style of truck. You got to have somebody to tease when you're on the road, so I used to tease the guys with the Volvos.
Can we carry pepper spray? Not in Canada. It's illegal because I looked it up.
Yeah,
You can't do it. You can carry pepper spray if your intent is to spray a bear, but you can't carry it around in your purse with the intent to spray someone if they attack you. So there you go. If a bear attacks you, you can use it, but if a person attacks you, you can't use it. You can be criminally charged.
Crazy.
Doesn't make sense
It's
to me,
crazy.
but that's the law. Volvo has expensive parts for sure. Just a dipstick is $150. As a mechanic, breaking Volvo engine parts is very easy because everything is plastic.
A dipstick is $150. I'd love to go into Volvo and ask a salesman just exactly why that would be. That would just shut them down right there. Oh man, think they're gouging you as the driver? Oh, $150 for a dipstick. Better to get her a wire coat hanger and use it. $150.
Dave is right about the mega carriers. Oh, sorry, I lost that. Can you talk about bulk trailers a little bit?
Bulk is in dry bulk trailers that you need a pneumatic pump to unload. I've never done that. I understand the work is okay though, but I used to talk to guys that hauled plastic pellets in pneumatic bulk tankers, and they all liked the work. It was fairly clean, but those blowers that unload those things, you'd about go deaf running those. And most of the guys that I knew had to pay for those blowers to unload the trailers, which I thought was crap. The company should provide those, but
Somebody mentioned been doing some pricing, and Volvo is $20,000 more on average to buy.
than a Kenworth or a Pete? Man, well, I know what I'd be doing anyway. I would, let me tell you another problem with Volvos now that I'm on a Volvo roll. They've got no resale.
It's poor.
They're terrible resale. A Kenworth or a Pete, you've got great resale. Even a Freightliner has better resale than a Volvo. I don't understand, I know the big carriers like them because the big carriers can buy 100 of them and get a real deal. But then when they go to trade them, they're worth nothing unless you're buying more Volvos. And that's kind of the catch that Volvo's got them into. I don't think they're a great truck, but you sure see a lot of them anymore. But you see a lot of them because it's the mega carriers buying them. It's not the owner operators buying them.
Now, we did a video on the truck stops that you like. Maybe you could talk a little bit about truck stops.
Yeah. I honestly used to plan my trips around where I wanted to stop at night. And it was not only was it for logging purposes, but I was kind of a picky guy. I like clean showers, I like good food, I like safe parking. So I would literally plan my trip around truck stops and where I had to go. And I've got all over the country, I've got truck stops that I would use just because they met my standards. I liked Walcott, Iowa. I liked Grand Island, Nebraska. The Bossamans there. Little America, Wyoming was a favorite truck stop of mine. What's that one? Clearwater, Minnesota. The Petro 2. Great food up there. And I would literally plan all my trips, so I would land at these truck stops at night, so I could have a decent meal, a good clean shower, and a safe place to park, a quiet place to park.
I'm pretty sure you've told the story about it must have been the truck wash. Maybe it was the truck wash outside of LA where the helicopter came in and raided. That I was thinking it was a truck stop, but that was a truck wash.
Yeah, where the Lettuce King was there that time. Yeah. Should I tell it? You want me to tell that story?
Sure.
The Lettuce King was out. He was in the Barstow area, but he wasn't at the TA or
The magic wand.
the pilot. Is that where he was?
I believe so.
I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not sure. Anyway, I talk about, picking your truck stops in a safe place to stay. Well, the Lettuce King was camped out in this truck stop outside of Barstow, and the LA cops had determined that there was some sort of drug ring running out of this truck stop, and the Lettuce King woke up about 2 a.m. to the sound of helicopters overhead. Woke up, looked out, and all these guys are lowering themselves down on ropes from these helicopters, and they've all got machine guns. They've got the truck stop surrounded,
And had them on their stomachs.
had everybody in the truck stop doing the spread eagle on the ground in the truck stops, and he was in there for hours before they
Let them go.
vetted him and found out that he wasn't one of the drug guys and let him go. He was in there for like 8 hours. And he said it was unbelievable. So you got to be careful where you land and park. You never know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he came back with that story, and we thought, "Holy cow, that's a beaut." I never ever stayed there. I always stayed at the TA in Barstow.
I trained in an automatic Pete 579. Good truck. Tried practicing with a manual at the pad. The manual is more responsive and better overall. I can see why you don't much like automatics.
Yeah, I'm just more used to. I feel like I've got more control of the truck when I've got a standard transmission. I'm driving this little automatic Freightliner now, and it doesn't shift when I would shift when I'm going up a hill, or it doesn't shift when I would shift when I'm going down a hill. It just, it's kind of like the truck's running me rather than I'm driving the truck, and I just have a better feel for the standard transmissions, I guess.
Eric asked, could a weigh scale anywhere in Canada or the US revoke your license?
At the scale? No, I don't believe so. They need the police to do that. Mind you, that's not saying that scale wouldn't call the cops, because that's what they'll do. But no, the scale people don't have the authority to do that, but they'll bring in the police, and the police certainly do. Not that some scale guys wouldn't try to bluff you into it.
Do it anyway.
Yeah,
yes.
But no.
Where my dad parks his truck, his friend's truck and trailer got stolen, and it was a new truck. We had a brand new truck stolen many years ago.
Yeah, brand new truck and a trailer.
New truck, not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
Two different incidents, but
yeah.
A brand new truck when it was in for warranty work.
Yeah.
At a shop, they left the keys in it, and somebody helped themselves.
Yeah, unbelievable.
6 weeks old.
Yeah. Yeah, and the insurance company just screwed us hollow on that one, of course. Mm-hmm. Probably can't say that word, but.
Oh, you just did.
Insurance companies. They don't lose money. You lose the money.
Truck wash. I was a rookie. I washed my truck. I drove to Aspen. The truck was a solid block of ice.
You know what? That happens. The truck gets so gross and dirty that it's like 30 below, but you just can't stand it anymore, and you gotta wash it. And I was famous for that. I developed a thing where I'd wash the thing even when it was freezing cold, but then I'd spray everything with WD-40, like the locks, the door latches, the door seals around the door, so I didn't get frozen into it, because that was a real problem. But sometimes you just got to do it because you just can't stand the thing anymore.
Mike, I think you're right. It was Little Sister's truck wash, not Magic Wand. That's right. That was Little Sister's.
Yeah, Little Sister's probably.
Mm-hmm. That was it.
Great truck wash.
I used to get the receipts from there. So
yep, great truck wash.
Right.
I used to use them all. A good polish shop too there. at Barstow, Lenwood Avenue.
I went to Iowa 80 for the first time ever last month. It was definitely worth the visit. The buffet was disappointing, but the meal I had off the menu was pretty good.
Yeah, you know what? The buffet is not what it used to be. Ever since they built the new building, the food was amazing in the old building. Not so much in the new building, and they're just so big there now. But yeah, the food is good. The food is good.
Edward asks, is FedEx a good company?
I think for the most part, FedEx is a good company. They keep you busy. They pay you well. They've got quirks like every other outfit. And if you can keep ahead of the quirks, I think overall, if you get on the right run with doing the right type of work, that it's okay. I know FedEx is big on like just-in-time teams. I don't think that's a good idea, but I think more of their local stuff is good and pays well and pays by the hour.
Mike Nicolette said that I know you got that 379 polished there. They had a good shine team. I think that's what you used to get done there.
Yep. Yeah. Anytime I was in Lenwood Ave, I had those guys clean it up. They were really good at what they did, and it wasn't out of the way expensive either. But best polish work in the U.S. that I could find.
Headed to Schneider Trucking. I am a rookie driver with 2 months.
Well, I think if I was going to pick a company to train me and start with, it would be Schneider. I think their training program is above the rest of the crowd. So, no, good choice. Good choice, I think.
I see more FedEx trucks wrecked than any other company lately.
Oh, FedEx is terrible in the wintertime. Those A boxes, you always see those guys folded up in the ditch. There was even a song about them going into the weeds in the wintertime. I wish I could remember how it went, but there's a song out there. You'll hear it over the CB sometime about why the FedEx trucks are always in the weeds in the snow. It's pretty common for them.
Insurance companies love to take your money, but they hate to give it back.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
Is it a good idea to get my CDL straight out of high school or wait?
Why not get it right out of high school? Why not?
If you're the right age.
Yeah, get a jump on it. Sooner the better, I think.
If that's what you want to do.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, of course.
How do you feel about a 2019 HV613 4x2 made into a TOTER truck? Totter?
I don't even know what in God's green earth that is.
Remember the Rocky Mountain Doubles?
Yes, I do. Do they not still have those in certain states? I think they still do. Every once in a while. Where is it they still have those? But yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Looking for a career change, would you still recommend trucking in 2019 with the end goal being an owner-operator?
No. I don't recommend being an owner-operator these days anymore for the foreseeable future. Trucking might be okay if you can do it local by the hour. Good career. They're always looking for guys like that. But owner-operators anymore are pretty much a done deal unless you're in a special high-dollar niche, and those are as rare as hen's teeth these days. So I wouldn't set my sights on that. Don't waste your money. You'll lose it.
Is our cat a 3406?
Yes. Well, it's a C15.
Oh, C15. 4 1/4.
475.
Oh, good guess.
The last one was a 4 1/4.
Roll Transport is a good company to start if you're willing to do flatbed. They also have van reefer, depending on where you call home.
Yeah, I've heard Roll was okay. I never heard they were amazing, but I've heard they're okay.
Do you think dispatchers should drive a truck so they know what drivers go through instead of acting like they do?
God, yes. I think dispatchers should have a minimum of 10 years over-the-road experience before they should even be able to open their mouths to give advice to truck drivers. I know they're all kids with computers now, and most of them have like a Toyota Corolla. But no, I think that should be a requirement.
Would a TWIC card be advisable? Depends what you want to do.
Can't hurt. Can't hurt to have one. I had one. But I seldom got to use it. I paid what the heck was it? I had to pay for it. Like $160, and I think I used it a couple times a year. But the few times I used it, I was able to get high dollar loads out of places I was stuck in otherwise.
There is a good question. It's gone, but they said, what was the strangest commodity that you ever pulled in a load?
Dead bodies.
I thought they were a load of coffins.
No, I hauled a couple of what they called cadavers, on the load manifest.
Ew.
Yeah. These, I don't even want to get into it.
We don't need to expand on that one.
I had to take them to JFK Airport. They were going overseas.
When are you going to invest in one of those big campers to put on your truck?
Oh, you know what? I hate tourists so bad. I don't think I'd ever buy a camper. I'd live out of the sleeper, no problem, but campers scare the hell out of me.
Some fellows asked here a few times. I'll grab this question. How do you feel about Western Stars?
I had a 79 Western Star right out of the factory in Kelowna, and it was one of the nicest trucks I ever drove. I didn't own it. It was a company truck, but I picked it up for the company I was driving for. It was a beautiful truck. Really liked them. Solid truck, like Western Stars. I got into produce later, and they were too heavy to haul produce with because they were all steel. The cab, everything was steel. But really good trucks. Liked them.
Speaking of food quality, the food used to be better everywhere before they sacrificed the quality of food for cost as they got bigger. The iron skillet was actually decent.
Yeah, the iron skillet was really good. And you're right. It's staggering to me now when you go into these big truck stops that used to have great food, and it's all Subway and Dairy Queen and you name it. It's all fast food now. That's a real loss to our industry. Not everyone likes to eat like that. Most people don't like to eat like that. But yeah, that was one of the reasons I used the Petros was for the good restaurants, for the iron skillets. And that's a downhill step for trucking. That's all gone to fast food and the truck stops now.
What's a good brand of tires that I could get for my truck? Steering axle tires.
I stuck to either, depending, I would shop the price, but I would shop Michelin, Bridgestone, or BF Goodrich, and those were the only three brands. And someone told me that BF Goodrich is actually owned by Michelin, I think. But those are the three that I would shop when I was shopping steering axle tires, and I never had an issue with any of those three. I was pretty picky about the quality of the steering axle tires. I wouldn't put Chinese tires on the steering axle. Good American-made tires.
Steve asks, have you ever been to Louisiana? And the answer is yes.
Yes, I have, many, many times. Like Louisiana.
You did a lot of work down there when you were hauling tankers.
Yes, I did a lot of tanker work out of Louisiana. Yeah. Humid as hell.
Yeah.
But quite like Louisiana.
Yeah. Parachute, Colorado has a great little restaurant. Not a truck stop, but there's a ton of parking, says Shannon.
Parachute, Colorado. Shannon, where is that? Refresh my memory. I don't think I've been through there. Huh. Parachute, Colorado. I don't think I've been there.
$20 an hour, overtime after 40 hours, shift 4 p.m., 4 a.m., $75 layover, only 8 months experience. What do you think of that?
I think you're off to a good start.
Yeah, I think that's
I think you're off to a good start.
In your career, did you ever run into any setbacks as a truck driver?
Setbacks?
Setbacks. Where would you like to start?
You'd have to define setbacks. Issues. Probably the biggest issue I would run into as a truck driver was I'd get there with my semi, and the guy would say, "Oh, put it in this dock over here," and the dock was big enough for a UPS truck. And I'd say, there's not enough room for me to get into that dock. And he goes, oh, well, we get trucks in there all the time. And they didn't know a mail truck from a UPS truck from a semi. And I would encounter that all the friggin' time. Shippers and receivers had no concept of how much room a tractor trailer needed to maneuver. That was damn near an every week occurrence for my entire career. You'd always run into somebody that had no clue.
And you worked, because of the hours of service being so different and things being a lot looser, you worked a lot longer hours too.
Yeah, but I probably shouldn't say this now, but it was to our benefit back then, because you could kind of pick and choose the hours you work. These days,
that was the way
it was done. Mm-hmm. These days, and I like electronic logs. They keep everybody honest. Don't get me wrong. And they give you like a set window with which you can work. So all you have to do is pick the window that you want to work in. Mine was like 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. or something like that, and just live like a normal human being. None of this at night over the road crap. I would just work like a banker, keep banker's hours, and use the logbook or the e-log to reinforce what I was doing.
I'm a car carrier, and we have large custom sleepers, and we always get them saying, "Oh yeah, we get trucks in here all the time." Standard line.
Oh yeah, you hear it everywhere. It's just guys are clueless, and a few times I had to say, well, you know what? I'm not going to wreck my truck to come into your shithole yard. So where's the nearest warehouse you'd like me to use where you have an account? Because I'm not going in here. So if you don't give me a spot to unload, I will pick my own spot. I will put your freight, in carriage in lieu of payment, and you can pick it up there, because I've wasted enough time.
Oh boy. I am 15 and I want to get into trucking in a couple of years. Should I, or am I wasting your time?
You're not wasting my time, and I love driving trucks.
No, I didn't mean wasting your time, wasting his time.
Yeah.
Would he be wasting?
No. I love driving trucks. Enjoyed it my whole life.
He's talking about himself.
I know. So if he's interested in doing it, I can understand that, because I was interested in doing it. No, and you know what? You can still drive them and not make it your career. You can hobby truck and still work at a regular job, or do it on the weekends or something. No, if it's something you want to try and something you want to do, absolutely go ahead and do it. Just realize that you're never going to be a rich man if you want to do that full time. So choose a career that's going to pay you what you want to make, and then look at trucking as a hobby or a sideline or a weekend job or whatever. But no, it's fun to drive the big trucks, I'll give you that. Don't blame you for wanting to do it. I always did. Storm Shadow, run hard and make money, young man. 10-4. That's right. Is it getting a truck and leasing on a Schneider's IC program a bad idea? Yeah, I wouldn't. They've got their own trucks. Why would you lease one for Schneider's? They've got lots of trucks. No, I wouldn't lease on with Schneider or anybody else anymore. Drive the company truck. They'll hire you. They still need truck drivers. You just don't have to buy your way into a job. Can't see myself doing anything else besides driving a truck. No, I can relate to that. No, I loved it. I'll be honest. I loved it. It was hard on my marriage. It was hard on my family. And eventually I was smart enough to see that. But it took me a while. Should I wait and save money as a company driver and then buy my own truck? Or do a lease to purchase? Never do a lease to purchase. And I would just stay as a company driver, Cone. I don't think there's any money in owning your own truck anymore. Huge investment with not enough return. I would stay with the company driving job. What's the longest it's taken you to get unloaded? 3 days. 3 days I spent one time trying to get a load off. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You've got to come down and do I-70 from Denver to Grand Junction. Amazing scenery. Shannon, I've done that trip, and yes, it is. It's amazing scenery. I usually went through Salt Lake in the bad weather, just because you never knew what they were going to do in Colorado with the hills, whether they were going to shut them down or not. But yeah, Colorado's beautiful. Prisoner of the highway, Ronnie Millsap. That's right. That's right. Yeah, Shannon, 3 days. Yep. I'll never forget that.
What is the closest you came to quitting trucking?
I never came close to quitting trucking. I quit a couple of carriers, but I was still interested in trucking. I just knew that sometimes that whatever I was doing in trucking, and it was usually when I was with carriers. When I was with carriers, they would just send me someplace I didn't want to go, or beat me on my pay, and I would just leave and find a better deal, because carriers take advantage of you. And I was happiest when I was running on my own authority, but I never truly found a carrier that treated me the way I wanted to be treated. Is the best way to describe it.
I was tempted to leave trucks sitting sometimes.
You know what? That's tempting, but as much as I imagine you can end up hating your dispatcher's guts, I imagine you'd hate the ride on the Greyhound even more. So I'd be tempted just to take the thing home and tell them to come pick up their keys, or take it to the yard that you were dispatched out of, or something like that. Just abandoning the truck, you still have a transportation problem to get home, so no point in doing that.
A few more questions?
Yep. Kat, any driving videos with you? Not yet, but we're working on it. Companies can sue you when you abandon a truck, can't they? You know, they can try, but usually that's not successful, especially if you establish yourself with the local sheriff or whoever and say, you know what, here's the deal. They've beat me on my pay, and you can give them the keys if you want, or tell them the keys are in it. The truck is located at this truck stop. Why not cover your butt? Why not phone the local sheriff or the local bears and tell them the deal? Say, here's the truck. It's just because they beat me on the pay. But still, I wouldn't abandon it. I'd drive it home. Give it back to them. Why take the Greyhound? I hate the bus.
Okay, just do a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up, please.
Okay.
How hard was it running your own authority?
Not hard at all. It was pretty simple. You just had to keep current. Kathy did that stuff for me. Keep current with what you needed to do for your single state and your operating authority. Keep up with the insurance and stuff like that. And it was a piece of cake. It was really nice. It was easy. It wasn't that hard to get. Mind you, I applied years and years ago, but I don't think that's gotten any tougher to get your own authority. The hardest part probably is getting the insurance anymore. But no, it was great. I'd recommend it to anybody. Trucking, the margins are so thin that you really can't afford to be giving a carrier a percentage of what you make. Why? And you don't need them. Why not just do it all yourself and eliminate the middlemen? And that was how we made money. That was how we made our best money. It was getting rid of all the middlemen and just doing it direct on our own authority. You set your own schedule. You pick your own rates. Nothing but advantages.
Okay, I think that should be it. Just a few wrap-up comments, and that's it.
Well, once again, I've enjoyed chatting with you guys. I could do this all day long, but we really can't. But I could. It's kind of like sitting in the truck stop for me and chewing the fat with other drivers, and I really enjoy that. That was one of the best things about trucking. I want you guys to be careful out there. Be careful in your load choices, your career choices, your road choices. where you stop at night, who you deal with in business. Think it all through. Be careful, because it all matters. Guys, take care.
And don't take any sass from the dispatchers.
And don't take any sass from the dispatchers. Take care. Keep the rubber side down. I've enjoyed this very much. And thanks again for the comments on Kathy's mom. We'll see you on the back haul. Good night.